So in this video we're going to talk about perpendicular lines and their gradients. You should remember that a perpendicular line, they're two lines that meet and make a 90-degree angle. So this line and this line, they are perpendicular because they make a 90-degree angle. So let's go back to our favorite little program here, GeoGebra. Now I've got a line here and I've just drawn in a triangle to show you that the gradient of this line, rise over run, is equal to 1/2. So the gradient of this particular line is 1/2, and we can show it here. No, we can't. We can show it here. The equation of this line is y equals 0.5x minus 1.95. That's a gradient of 1/2. Now I'm just going to draw a perpendicular line. I'm just going to rotate this line around until we get to a point where the angle is 90 degrees. Okay, and we have a perpendicular line. Now let's find the gradient of that perpendicular line. I'm going to do it the same way that I did this, with rise over run. Alright, so I'm just going to draw in a little triangle here. Now, what do you notice about this triangle compared to this triangle? Well, this time, this bit is 2, whereas this bit was 2 last time, and this is 1. What's actually happened is the rise and the run have swapped over. Here the run was 2, here the rise, or actually the fall, is 2, because we're going downwards from left to right. And here the run is 1, and here the rise was 1. So this particular line has a fall of 2, or a rise of -2, and a run of 1. So it's related to this. Okay, so the gradient of this particular line is y equals -2x plus 6.5, whereas the gradient of this is y equals 0.5x minus 1.95. Alright, so the big takeaway here is this. The gradient of a perpendicular line is a negative reciprocal. So that means that if there is a line, y equals half x plus 2, then the gradient of a perpendicular line is going to be equal to y, or is going to have a gradient of m equals this fraction upside down, so 2 over 1, or just plain old 2, negative. Reciprocal means upside down, negative fraction. So if my original equation was y equals 3x plus 5, then the perpendicular line would be the negative reciprocal of that. So the gradient of a perpendicular line will be equal to 3 over 1 flipped upside down, which would be 1 over 3, but negative 1 over 3. And if I had a gradient of y equals 5 over 7x plus 2, then a perpendicular line would have a gradient of m equals 7 over 5, but negative. Now we can formalize that just a little bit with this formula. M2, gradient 2, that's a little subscript 2 there, is equal to 1 over negative m1. So, for example, if I want to find a perpendicular line to y equals 3x plus 5, I can put into my formula gradient 2 is equal to 1 over negative gradient 1. That means that gradient 2 is equal to negative 1/3. That negative can just come out the front there. Alright, so important thing to take away. Here's our formula. m2 is equal to 1 over negative m1. But you can also think of it as the gradient of a perpendicular line is the negative reciprocal. Negative flipped around.